Agora finalmente foi. Nunca mais vou usar esse negócio, velho.
Agora tá ao vivo, agora tô vendo teu link aqui, tá?
Que bosta,
Vou deixar tu mutado porque tem um delayzinho.
Esse tempo eu tipo, comecei a live e tava falando aqui, falei altas coisas, velho. Da Blizzard, de Diablo, que eu tô esperando dos bagulho, tá? Tudo isso aí.
Tu tá.
Nada.
Há umas meia hora que tu estás aí tentando, né?
Falando, tô
Tu
falando, pô, achando que tava live aqui, tá?
Mas tu nem abriste teu celular pra poder testar também, pra ver se tava funcionando, né, velho?
Eu abro a janela aqui, porra. Tem a janela, o negócio fica aberto, aí tá mostrando aqui, conexão excelente, tá? Ele mostra no YouTube Studio aqui. Só que, tipo, aqui no negócio de quantas pessoas tem assistindo, tinha um tracinho, tinha um hífen, tá ligado? Eu não sabia porque tinha um hífen. Eu achei que, tipo, é porque às vezes buga, tá ligado? Às vezes ele mostra um hífen, às vezes ele mostra os viewers, tá ligado? Eu achei que tava bugado, pô. Eu tô online aqui, tá? No Twitch não tem. Se você botar pra ir ou pra começar a fazer stream, e, tipo, você tem que apertar outro botão no Twitch pra começar a live. Não tem isso, tá ligado? No Twitch.
Obrigado.
Só no YouTube, que o YouTube quer ser especial, tá ligado? Quem é esse gordão aí, hein? Fazendo... Christian Nine, ninguém conhece esse arrombado.
É famosão, insano, pô. A gente não conhece. Gostei do fone dele, velho.
Fone doidão.
É. Ele tá viajando na música dele mesmo, ó.
Tá.
Não tá não a cara dele,
essa é a música que ele fode com a mulher dele, tá? Ele fica fazendo essas caras.
Pode crer. Um minuto. Aí eu vou pegar uma aguinha.
Vai começar!
That feeling of just knowing a game is right for
Holy
you
World.
when you first lay eyes on it is such a great feeling.
The thing that happens is you
Não sei quem é
start to
esse.
feel the excitement just build up.
I'm thinking about it all the time,
Crip.
even in my sleep.
Incluso a veces por una misma comunidad. Te llegas a enamorar bastantísimo.
I play video games because I love stories.
Experiencing worlds that you can't experience as yourself. I guess video games allow me to be what I can't. It's fiction, but it's not.
And come home, log onto your PC, and disappear into a different world.
I am a part of something bigger, a part of something beautiful.
As an autistic person, video games give me a place where I could be in a world that made sense to me.
I will tell you that all of my family play video games.
Me and my brothers, we would share the computer 1 hour at a time.
저는 제 와이프랑 게임을 가장 많이 해요.
I'm really enjoying playing video games with my dad.
My children.
My little sister. That connection between video games, allowing us to converse with each other, added a lot to our relationship.
Games like the World of Warcraft let me meet people that I probably never would have.
I can honestly say I met some of my best friends through playing games.
We have this connection that allows us to share our joys, to share our achievements, to share our growth together.
Every time I'm able to achieve something, I'm able to make myself proud.
Killing heroic Blackhand back in Warlords of Draenor was one of my favorite memories.
I managed to find that one hidden pylon with my one Mutalisk.
We beat hardcore Inferno Diablo.
I was able to hit gold in competitive in Overwatch.
I had someone say, oh, I can't lose to a girl. And I beat that guy.
So I was able to slay this warlock as a little gnome holy priest, freaking out and screaming the whole time.
The adrenaline through my body was going crazy.
Pela caminhada ter sido tão prazerosa e pela conquista ter vindo.
A gente se sentiu muito, caramba, a gente conseguiu algo incrível aqui.
I killed the Lich King! I killed the Lich King!
当我夺冠的时候，现场的女性工作人员，包括有些男的工作人员，他们都哭了。
Many years ago, I was doing a quest in Terracar Forest, and a lovely little mage came up and said, "Would you like a hand?" They helped me for the rest of the day. We've been married now for over a decade.
Those video games filled a void. They filled the friendships that I didn't have. There isn't a huge LGBTQIA plus community in my city. So when I was able to play a video game, I was able to start talking with people who didn't really care that I was a gay male.
But video games were my escape. When I was a teenager, my dad was diagnosed with ALS, and I looked to video games as a way to escape from that sort of reality. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm just glad video games were there for me.
I'll never stop playing video games.
There's no way.
I imagine myself one day being an 80-year-old grandpa gamer.
Playing video games has shaped me. I don't think I would be who I am today.
My passion, my interest, my excitement, they belong.
Video games opened for me the world.
And because of that, I'm forever thankful.
And I can't wait to see what the next generation holds.
Ficou bem legal esse vídeo, cara.
30 anos, né?
Welcome to BlizzCon Line, a celebration of 30 years of Blizzard communities and 30 years of Blizzard games. 30 years is so many years, and last year maybe felt like one of the longest of all. But throughout the years of Blizzard Entertainment, from 1991 to today, many of us can associate certain games with milestones in our lives. Maybe you were a little kid the first time you played The Lost Vikings. Or in high school when you first played a Diablo game. Or maybe you met your partner while you were playing World of Warcraft. That's the awesome thing about video games. They give us experiences that are relevant to the times in our lives and experiences that we carry forward with us. Games are here for us during good times, and they're here for us even when we feel alone or maybe uncertain. Games are coming home, familiar, comfortable, with a connection and a sense of belonging. And while many of us spent most of 2020 in our actual real-life homes, games became even more of a place to get away, to be free from outside concerns, even if just for a little while. So, this is pretty weird. Usually, when we start BlizzCon, the opening call is to my favorite Warcraft faction, the Alliance. Or my favorite faction, the Horde. I get confused. Usually, I'd be speaking to 40,000 of you in person at the Anaheim Convention Center and millions of you around the world. And usually, that would be a perfect way to celebrate. But nothing about the last year has been usual. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and for many different reasons. But if there's one thing that the last year has taught us, it's that being apart physically doesn't stop us from moving forward. It doesn't stop us from connecting with our player friends around the world, diving in as warriors and heroes, and checking on each other as humans. It doesn't stop us from sharing our latest epic gaming story or celebrating those of others. Games continue to unite us. Now, to be honest, I wasn't sure how well Blizzard could work from home. There are thousands of people, all needing to work together in creating our universes, games, and experiences. Never has it felt more true that it takes a Blizzard to make a Blizzard game. And in 2020, it became clear that the magic of creating at Blizzard isn't just tied to a physical location. It's tied to the people who work
passei na frente desse lugar aí.
continue to be so proud
Da Blizzard.
of each and every one of them.
Não ia deixar nada.
We create these games and pour all of our energy and heart into them. But it is you, the Blizzard community, that brings them to life. And that's why BlizzCon
Mas dá pra ver
is a
de boa
celebration of you, the guild leaders, healers, DPS, tanks, innkeepers, Zerg, Terran, Protoss, Blackwatch, Shimada, the heroes of Sanctuary and of the Storm. These next few days are for you, our Blizzard community. For World of Warcraft, we'll be showing you what's next for both Shadowlands and Classic. I'm sure you're all burning in anticipation for that one. Hearthstone is getting back to its roots in a major way. We can't wait to show you how. We also have news for our Diablo community. Some of you were able to dip your toes into the depths of hell in the Diablo Immortal Technical Alpha. I personally really enjoyed seeing players embrace the multiplayer aspect of meeting in town. We can't wait for more of you to get your hands on it.
Não gosta não de jogar beta não, né? Os alpha não.
Only the beginning of the year, and already there is so much to look forward to, even though we can't yet be together in person. The Overwatch League will be kicking things off in spring, and we'll be watching closely to see if the San Francisco Shock can continue their championship run.
Qual time?
World of Warcraft esports is back with the Arena World Championship and Mythic Dungeon International already in full swing in Shadowlands. StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 esports are going strong with our friends at the ESL Pro Tour. And qualifiers are already underway for the first online stop of the 2021 Hearthstone Masters Tour, with the first event taking place next month.
Sabia não que tinha campeonato de Hearthstone não.
Before we get too far ahead,
Acho que desde quando saiu.
let's take a look one last time to when times were a little simpler. In the early 1990s, the internet was a baby. CD sales had finally eclipsed cassette tapes. Cassette tape, it's a rectangle piece of plastic, and there's a tape inside, and music would get recorded on, and sometimes you needed a pencil to wind it and make it tight. I know, it sounds crazy. We were all playing video games on Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, DOS, or Mac PCs. I personally was a master of ConfigSys and AutoExec-BAT. So many simple things in simple times. If only we could relive them.
The stage is set. The green flag drops. Let the carnage begin. Holy Toledo! What a collection!
Será que eles vão relançar todos esses jogos aí?
Now
É, eu jogo as pessoas originais, ó. Dos inéditos.
What a play! Crank up the volume! Unbelievable! Whoa!
Deve ser collection, velho, que vai sair. Que massa. Aham. Ó, a coleção arcade aí.
Pô, que massa, velho. Que massa isso.
É.
The Blizzard Arcade Collection, featuring the Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn. These are ports of the games just as you remember them, allowing you to relive the original experience of all three titles.
Esse The Lost Vikings parece ser legal, hein?
With a couple of quality of life upgrades. As an example, we include very modern, cutting-edge functionality that wasn't available in the early 90s, both saving and loading of games. And for those of you who purchased any Blizzard Digital Anniversary Bundle via Battle.net, you'll automatically receive the Blizzard Arcade Collection on PC today.
Eita, que massa, velho.
Now,
nice.
You ready to hear about some other video games? Let's hear what's next for World of Warcraft.
A Blizzard prefere fazer essas ceninhas, né, velho? Essas cutscenes, CGI, né? Sim, né?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
São fera em fazer isso,
no matter
né?
where you are, World of Warcraft unites us all. Whether you're exploring the Shadowlands, Classic Azeroth, or another part of the Blizzard universe, I'm glad you can
Não joga não, né?
because we've got a lot
Eu
of good
costumava jogar,
stuff to
velho, mas
show
eu
you.
parei.
But first, let's start with some Covenant Pride. Kyrian, take flight. Night Fae, let the hunt begin. Necrolords, to war! Vinthir, let's party. The world has thrown a lot at us since the last BlizzCon, and the thing that's really kept everyone going on the WoW team has been connecting with all of you. The bonds we forge with our guilds and family and friends in WoW are powerful and real. As WoW enters its 16th year and Blizzard celebrates its 30th anniversary, we're so grateful to have the most dedicated and friendly communities in gaming. Let's recap the events in Azeroth. In WoW Classic, we fought an endless battle for South Shore and Tauren Mill. We banded together to open the gates of Ahn'Qiraj and joined forces to take down Kel'Thuzad in his floating citadel of Naxxramas. In Shadowlands, we helped our Covenant recover from the Anima drought, brought on by Sire Denathrius, master of the Vinthir and traitor to the Pantheon of Death. We survived the halls of Torghast and crafted legendary gear in our efforts to expel Denathrius from his castle lair. But innocent souls are still wrongfully being sent to the Maw. They face an eternity of torment, and heroes like Anduin remain chained in its depths. The jailer continues to grow in power. He's preparing to break free from the Maw and complete his plan to unmake the entire Warcraft universe. And Sylvanas, you may be wondering what she's been up to all this time. Today, we're excited to unveil our first major content update for Shadowlands, Chains of Domination.
Dominatrix.
Olhe ao seu redor! Por que acha que não é só a arma que ele usará para alcançar os fins dele?
Chega! Junte-se a nós, ou será forçado a nos servir.
Agora, você detém todo o poder. Faça a sua escolha.
A turma
Sylvana corre vendo.
valorizou o Brasil, não foi? Era a livezinha, ela cheia de delícia, acho que tinha dubladinha. Nossa,
apesar dos nossos esforços, a Gorja continua.
Ou eles ou
Essa
a Nintendo, né?
Denatus
Não faz nenhuma legendinha em português.
O Prócer se foi. E o Bastião não tem como salvar as terras sob
Tá nem aí, pô.
Nada disso deveria ter acontecido.
Será que a Rainha Invernal poderia...
Arconte, uma alma viva solicita uma audiência.
Um mortal?
Um rei. Ao que tudo indica, alguém que passou a vida em busca de justiça. Alguém que viveu em nome de seu povo.
Ela ficou emocionada.
Alguém cujo coração é puro.
Pois bem, eu receberei.
Depois desse elogio todinho.
E aí?
Aproxime-se.
Eu recebi ele aqui em casa.
É, pode crer.
Meus ascendidos me falaram de você. O rei aprisionado na Gorja.
Aquela prisão não iria.
Tem uma skin do King Gohan que parece com essa armadura dele aí.
Ao Bastião.
Eu preciso da chave que você detém.
Você liberte esta alma das suas garras.
Não. Ele está preso a mim.
É bom não.
Você tentou prender seu próprio irmão.
Sei não, velho. Deve ser Imhotep.
Imhotep foi foda.
Foi a primeira coisa que me veio à cabeça, velho.
Esse mortal me serviu muito bem.
Olha o tamanho do cara.
Três chaves. E depois todos verão que é impossível acorrentar a morte.
Corrente da Dominatrix.
É. DLC, $200.
That is so intense.
Da expansão pra World of
I
Warcraft.
know you
pô.
probably have a lot of questions about
Então,
what you
você não
just
paga
saw
por ela, não.
and what it means for the next
Sério?
stage of your Shadowlands journey. Later
Não é
today,
tipo DLC não, de pagar não?
Jeremy will be telling you
Mas
more
você paga pra
about
jogar o
Chains
jogo,
of
tá? Todo mês,
Domination
tem
in our
mensalidade.
Shadowlands update.
Really?
Please check out the World of Warcraft
Ah.
channel to find out more.
Ah, por isso que os caras querem dinheiro,
Next,
pô.
I'm excited to share our upcoming World of Warcraft charity pet program. We've heard a lot from our community about how
Deve ser o
much
que, uns
they love
$10,
these pets
talvez?
and the opportunity to give to a
$5.
good cause, along with ideas to make the program even better. So during this upcoming campaign, you'll be able to
Acho que é um
donate
10.
whatever amount you wish to directly support our chosen charity. Once donations reach our goal, everyone playing World of Warcraft will get a pet for their collection as a thank you, whether you were able to contribute personally or not. And to make this a fun challenge, if we reach a stretch goal, everyone gets a second pet too. And here they are. The first pet is Bananas. Literally. He was originally available to a select few back in Burning Crusade era, so we're excited to give everyone
Eu quero ter que fazer uma doação e ganhar esse macaco,
As
é?
we reach our stretch goal, you'll also get Daisy the Sloth. She's an all-new pet to hang around your neck when you need a hug. Your donations during
Tem
this
tanto pet
campaign
mais
will
foda,
go to
porra.
support the medical,
Eu acho
humanitarian,
que um macaco e um bicho preguiça, velho.
Os caras dão um macaco e
Um lobo, um leão, uma coisa assim, sei lá.
MSF.
Mas tem que ser um bicho pequenininho, acho que pode ser um bicho muito grande mesmo, não.
Pode, porra.
We're grateful to have such a generous community, and we hope you'll help.
Mas pra que o cara tem um pet no jogo? Ele ajuda o cara a lutar, essas coisas,
We'll be
é?
sharing the details about the charity pet program on the World of Warcraft website soon. So we've talked quite a bit about Shadowlands. Classic players,
tá bom.
now it's your turn.
Fora.
It's my pleasure to hand off to my teammate, Holly Longdale. She's a longtime WoW player, a veteran MMO developer, and she's going to tell us what's in store for WoW Classic.
Aí sim.
Hi, everybody. First, I'd like
Por
to
falar
thank
nisso, o
all of
filme
you
é muito
who
legal,
have been
velho.
part of the
Queria que
WoW
saísse o segundo
community over
filme.
the years. You know,
Já viu esse
online
primeiro?
worlds like WoW have been a huge part of our
É
lives
legal,
for
velho. Eu
decades
gosto.
now.
Eu gostei.
As a dedicated MMO fan and a developer myself, I remember hearing that Blizzard was going to be making their own MMO. And I thought, well, I guess I'll check out that beta. And sure, we all call the game WoW. But really, wow. I could not believe I got bit by the MMO bug again. I was so excited to be able to make a Night Elf hunter and be like that famous Dark Elf ranger from the books that I loved. I have to tell you, Azeroth was, and still is, a place I love to live. Since last year, I've had the great honor to work alongside the WoW Classic team to bring these nostalgic experiences back to life for longtime fans and a whole new generation of players. As a fan myself, I've had so much fun in WoW. From the simple things like drive-by buffing or making friends on that long haul from Teldrassil to Ironforge, all the way to the absolutely staggering, like when I jumped blindly through the Dark Portal and was running through Hellfire Peninsula, heard this terrifying noise, and then saw the Fel Reaver. Biggest roamer I had ever seen, and I was very glad I had feigned death in that moment. And that's the thing about WoW. These stories and experiences we all share keep us coming back time after time. With that said, I'm super excited to be able to share with you where our adventures are taking us.
Se a porra fosse de graça, eu metia estiga, velho, na moral. Tu metia estiga se fosse de graça?
Eu ia testar, né? Eu não sei, assim, a mecânica do jogo, como é que é.
MMO, tu nunca jogasse MMO não foi?
Acho que não, velho. Tipo, eu acho massa, tipo, a temática, as histórias parecem ser legais e tudo mais.
O negócio é que o gráfico é bem velhinho, tá ligado, Pedrões?
Você é ceboso e eu não sei se a mecânica é aquela mecânica que me deixa preso assim, tá ligado? Deixa instigado. Por que eles não fazem os gráficos mais modernos, hein?
Tem muita gente que ainda joga World of Warcraft, tá? E como é mensalidade, os caras ganham muito dinheiro.
Não sei ter a necessidade de mudar a parte gráfica em si, né? Fica só faltando mais história, mais coisa, né? Mais aventura, né? Pra ficar aprendendo a galera jogando.
Esmaga! Tua ganância e estupidez te trouxeram a esse fim.
E outro também. Qualquer PC rola essa merda aí, tá ligado?
Forasteiros! Deixarei o mundo de vocês de cabeça para baixo.
Os caras botaram
Você não está preparado!
É, pode crer.
Brings back so many memories, right? Like exploring the fungal forests of Zangarmarsh, or being awestruck at the chaotic magic alive in Netherstorm, the Draenei in Exodar, the Blood Elves in Silvermoon. I love playing them both. Do you choose to enlist the Aldor or the Scryers in your quest to fight the Legion? And of course, we can't forget gathering all your friends to fight Illidan at the top of the Black Temple. I can't wait to relive it all with you. Since the team first set out on their own quest to bring the original WoW back to life, we have learned a ton about what players are expecting from this kind of experience. We've also learned when to keep things just as they were and where we all might be open to some changes. We're bringing all these lessons into Burning Crusade Classic, with our primary goal to bring back the same feeling you had when you faced the Fel Reaver for the first time, or when you were digging through piles of Felhound poop. Of course, we can't get this right without you, our incredible community. Soon, you'll be able to revisit Outland yourself when beta starts and tell us what you think. Later, all WoW Classic players are going to be presented with a meaningful choice for each one of your beloved characters. Do you want to move on into Burning Crusade Classic? Or do you want to stay in the original Classic era forever? Whatever you decide, you can do it all with your one WoW subscription. Now, I know I've thrown a lot at you, but don't worry. We'll be getting into the details in our panel later today. So stick with us. We'll make sure you are prepared.
Espero que isso aí não seja uma decisão única e você nunca mais possa mudar, tá ligado?
A beta tem dessas coisas, né?
Tipo, você pode escolher uma vez de graça, mas se você quiser mudar de novo, você tem que pagar.
Tem que pagar.
Porque se for só uma vez, você nunca mais vai mudar, velho. Tem muita gente que vai se arrepender e vai ficar puta, tá ligado?
Greetings. We're truly excited to share with you everything that's coming.
Eu gosto da musiquinha de Hearthstone.
But first,
é massa, né, velho?
let's take a quick look
tem uma
back
vibe muito
at the
delícia,
year
velho.
of the Phoenix.
É.
We added our first.
Eu gostava de jogar até tu destruir a minha vida com o streamer.
We went to Skullman's Academy.
Pô, que massa, eu comecei a ficar meio depressivo, velho. Aí eu,
Powerful synergies.
É porque tu fica muito bom nos jogos, velho. É sinistro, velho.
Biggest update ever.
Acho que quando lançou, a gente começou a jogar junto, eu acho, velho. Pouca coisa depois. A gente era meio parelho.
Foi uns 2 anos atrás.
Então, quando lançou, acho que a gente jogou junto, pô. Aí a gente era mais equilibrado. Aí eu parei de jogar e tu continuasse, tá ligado?
Não, é porque eu não tenho experiência não, pô. Eu mal jogo Hearthstone.
It's time
é
to
porque eu
say
tenho
farewell
experiência com Yu-Gi-Oh! Tenho experiência com o jogo de cartas, tá ligado?
Eu joguei Yu-Gi-Oh! Também, mas tu tem uns dons
pra... Eu joguei Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ah, certamente não.
Eu era campeão da Santa Emília, pô. Ninguém ganhava de mim em Santa Emília, pô. Centenas de pessoas tentavam me duelar e perdia, velho.
New experiences. To make sure that the tens of millions of you playing Hearthstone are always excited to log in. First up, we'll be giving the standard format its biggest shake-up ever, with the launch of the Core Set, later this year. The Core Set replaces the old Basic and Classic sets with a collection of 235 cards made up of some of the best from throughout the years, as well as 29 awesome brand new cards. And the best thing about the Core Set is that it's entirely free. So, there's never been a better time to get into Hearthstone. Here are 3 of Hearthstone's legendary dragons, reimagined to feel more and competitive for modern day Hearthstone. Ysera the Dreamer. You'll finally receive her full arsenal of dream cards right away. She's a nightmare for your opponents. Malygos the Spellweaver. He'll fill your hand with spells and is a powerful late game play, worthy of the aspect of magic. And finally, everyone's favorite black dragon, Deathwing. He's still as destructive as ever, but timed correctly, he won't leave you empty-handed. We'll also be launching a brand new format, Classic, where you can play Hearthstone as it was when it first launched. The Classic format will be fully supported, complete with ranks and rewards using Hearthstone's original set of cards. So, if you want to relive the old school experience, then Classic is the place for you. With Classic revisiting the past, now Let's take a
Cara,
look
já vi que
to
vai
the
ser assim
future
com todos os jogos da
and
Blizzard,
explore the
velho.
first
Os caras vão
expansion of the year
adicionando um monte de coisa no
of the
jogo, o jogo
Griffin.
fica extremamente louco e o pessoal não começa a gostar mais. Aí eles vêm com
a parada clássica, né?
A parada clássica, exatamente, velho.
Levam à encruzilhada.
Pô, a gente acabou estragando o jogo, velho. E agora? Lança o clássico.
Os sertões querem
Vai acontecer
destroçar.
a mesma coisa.
É mesmo.
Seu machado tem que estar afiado. Sua astúcia precisa estar de prontidão. E o seu coração precisa conter poder. Força e honra. É isso que nós somos.
Forjado no sertão do Nordeste. Um monte de cangaceiro.
Forjado no sertão. Acho que os caras podiam arrumar um nome melhor, eu acho, velho.
The Barons.
Certeza que o nome em inglês
And
vai
we'll
ser
come
mais
face to
badass,
face
tá
with the
ligado?
heroes that
É, tá ligado?
starting with one of the hordes.
A turma chama de localização, né? A tradução de forma não literária, mas de.
One-time war
Acho que a turma,
that
sei
embodies
lá,
the
velho.
honor, loyalty,
Decisão meio estranha
and
que ela bota isso,
spirituality of the horde. Shadowhunter Vol'jin. Shadowhunter Vol'jin is a neutral legendary that allows you to either bolster your own board or weaken that of your opponents. And to celebrate the announcement of Forged in the Barrens, this card is available for free for everyone later today. So log into Hearthstone and claim your free copy of Shadowhunter Vol'jin. And as a bonus, we're also giving away the brand new 30 Years of Blizzard card back.
Pô, ficou bonita, velho.
Next, we have another hero of the Horde who is making his first appearance in Hearthstone. The legendary Blade Master, Samuro.
Esse evento é quantos dias?
The new keyword,
Hoje é amanhã.
Frenzy. Frenzy activates the first time a minion takes damage and survives. In Samuro's case, this can be used to clear your opponent's board. Heroes of the Horde, like Samuro, are famous for their combat prowess. But others, like Thrall, are known for their powerful elemental magic. Take a look at this new shaman spell, Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is a spell in a new cycle of cards that rank up and become more powerful when you have 5 and 10 mana, ensuring that they're always useful at every stage in the game. You'll also notice that they're categorized as nature spells. With Forged in the Barrens, we'll be permanently introducing spell schools across the entire game, which enables a whole host of exciting new strategies. And don't worry, members of the Alliance will be featuring some of your most beloved heroes and locales later this year. But what I love most about the Warcraft universe is its amazing characters. And our final announcement is our most ambitious addition to Hearthstone yet. It introduces a brand new way to play with your favorite heroes. Hearthstone Mercenaries. Mercenaries features strategic RPG gameplay, where you build teams consisting of some of the most iconic heroes and villains from the Warcraft universe, including timeless characters like the infamous Sylvanas Windrunner, and Ragnaros, the elemental lord of fire.
Interessante, né? Essas
Some of Hearthstone's fan favorites,
junções
like the
aí.
Unstoppable Devilsaur, King Crush, and the ever-growing Gruul the Dragon Slayer.
Caramba.
You'll lead them in battle through highly replayable roguelike missions, where the map is randomly generated every time you play.
Ah, eu gosto de
Each
coisinhas
node
assim, velho.
represents
Massa,
a unique challenge for your teams to take on.
Ele
Your
pode
heroes
jogar
gain
isso junto,
levels,
porra.
new abilities,
Sério?
equipment,
É, pô, ele é
and
de
can
time,
even
pô.
evolve into more
quero.
powerful versions of themselves.
Olha, eu e tu jogar junto no
We're thrilled
tabuleiro,
to
tá?
finally
Subindo.
show you Hearthstone Mercenaries.
Aí é
It's
massa,
scheduled to
pô.
launch later this
Um
year,
co-opzinho,
and
tá parecendo.
we'll have more to share with you down the road. Everything you've seen today, is just a taste of what's coming in the Year of the Griffin. So don't forget to tune in to our deep dive panel after the opening ceremony, where we'll share more details on the core set, the new classic format, Forged in the Barrens, and our plans for Battlegrounds and Duels, as well as our upcoming single-player content. I want to thank the team for their amazing work. And on behalf of all of us at Hearthstone, we want to thank the many millions of you who play our game.
Tu acha que esse cara é da onde, que esse sotaquezinho dele aí?
Support is what drives us to make awesome updates and pursue ambitious and fun ideas. We can't wait to kick off the Year of the Griffin with all of you, and we hope to see you in the game soon.
Sotaque muito óbvio, não.
Next up, you'll get an update on all things Diablo.
Nice, agora sim,
Aí sim.
papai. Aqui a gente tá conversando.
Aí tá ficar feliz.
Jogo sério, né, velho? Jogo de homem, porra.
Tá meio esse jogo, velho. Tá louco. Eu lembro disso que a gente assistiu.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Primeiro trailer.
I'm so excited to kick off the Diablo segment of our show.
Esse cara tá falando aí agora?
To be here on behalf of all of our Diablo team to share the news and updates we have in store for you today. We've got a lot of Diablo to cover. And I hope you'll agree with me that it's a great time to be a member of this community. All right, let's kick things off with Diablo 4. We first shared our game with you during BlizzCon of 2019, and we've been truly humbled by your response. We've kept in touch with quarterly updates and sincerely appreciate the thoughts and valuable feedback you've provided as we unveil more and more of the game and share in its development. After all, Diablo belongs to you as much as it belongs to us. Most recently, we teased an update to our campfire screen, and savvy fans, of course, understood that we meant more than just the character lighting and fire visual effects. That's right. Today, we're happy to announce a brave new soul joining the Barbarian, the Sorcerer, and the Druid on this dangerous journey back to Sanctuary. A class is one of the most exciting things you can announce in a Diablo game. This one is especially exciting to me, as it's a re-envisioning of one of the first classes to ever appear in the series. Let's have a look.
Sentido.
Será que é a Amazona? Já tem druida, bárbaro e feiticeira, né? Pode ser a Amazona.
Isso é pro...
Diablo 4.
Pro novo, né?
É, Diablo 4.
Vai sair quando?
Não sei, tem data ainda não.
Mas você tem que ser paciente. Agora, reze comigo. Que a Karate seja meu guia e protetor.
Que a Karate seja meu guia e protetor.
A Karate é de barro.
Que ele seja o pastor da minha alma.
Que ele seja o pastor da minha alma.
E me conceda misericórdia.
E me conceda misericórdia.
O que está fazendo aqui? Agora não é o momento.
Mas é hora da confissão.
Assassina não.
E eu pequei.
São orelha, né?
Eu era uma ladra.
Assassina.
Que roubava dos mais afortunados. Me afastei da sua luz. E encontrei meu ofício nas sombras.
Não é bom não.
Disse que é assassinato. Mas eu chamo de trabalho bem feito.
Eita, aquele doeu, né?
Pare! Chega!
Sou uma ladra. Uma herege. Uma assassina padre. A Karate vai me salvar?
Você zomba da luz. Mas esses monstros eram uma praga assolando meu rebanho. E você foi a resposta de tantas preces.
Então estamos de acordo. E você está em dívida comigo.
tempo,
o nome
não.
que você procura é... Graças aos céus, temos você.
Céus. Eu garanto, padre.
Não tem orelha direita.
Não foram os céus que me mandaram.
Renegado. Que é a Amazona, é? Da Amazona ou da assassina?
Tá com cara que mais assassina, velho.
Vai ter que lutar o
Eita, que mata.
A assassina não usa barco, não, velho.
Bom, eu já não sei. Eita! Ó! Esse seria um personagem que eu gostaria de jogar, eu acho.
Tá com uma pegada meio Amazona, assassina e Demon Hunter, tudo ao mesmo tempo, velho.
Mas é isso que a gente quer, pô.
É uma mistura das três classes. O padre é FDP, ó, tá vendo?
É, pode crer. Ele tá pressionando a parada.
O padre é FDP, pô.
E acho que ela por não ter orelhinha, ela arranca dos outros, né?
Tá parecendo que é a pegada essa mesmo.
Just the sound of that ear getting pierced by the hook is so brutal. I feel like it's gonna haunt me for a long time. I've been a huge fan of the Rogue ever since the original Diablo. Even seeing them come back as NPCs and mercenaries in Diablo 2's Rogue Encampment served as a great bridge between the games. With the setting of Diablo 4 being a larger world than we've ever played in before, we're excited to show you not just what the successors to the original Rogues in the series have been up to since the fall of their order, but also what some of the other Rogues in the world of Sanctuary might look like. The mantra for Diablo 4 has been customization first, and the Rogue takes this to a whole new level. From the beginning, the Rogue has been an incredibly flexible class, able to adapt to any situation. Our goal is to let you create the kind of Rogue that you want to play. Whether it's an unrivaled archer modeled after the original Sisterhood, or a cloak and dagger rogue from the darkest alleys of Paldea. In Diablo 4, you will have the freedom to create the rogue that you imagine by customizing the looks, the background, and the playstyle of your character. Please stick around for our segment later today, where I'll be joined by other members of the Diablo 4 team to share a closer look at the rogue class, as well as some of the open world gameplay that we're bringing to the game. Spoilers, those severed ears are not just for show. But Diablo 4 is not the only Diablo game we're talking about today. If you're looking for an authentic Diablo experience on mobile, we've got you covered. Diablo Immortal is everything you expect from a AAA action RPG. From the visceral combat and epic loot to an all-new story, bridging the gap between the events of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Later today, you can join the Immortal team, where they'll talk about some of the things they've learned from their recent alpha test and what's next for the game. But that's still not all. We have one last bit of very exciting Diablo news to cover. When you hear us talk about the classes, the items, or the stories of the early Diablo games, you may have picked up on the absolute reverence
primeiro classic remake,
for that golden era. Maybe you share that love of the classics, and just hearing us talk about them makes you want to take on Mephisto or Baal one more time, or maybe even for the first time. After all, some of our favorite moments happened a long time ago, and not just in Sanctuary years. If so, we have a special surprise for you today.
Diablo 2 Remastered.
Let's check it out.
Certeza, velho. Certeza.
Tu vai jogar?
Were these the demons from? Don't do it. It seems I'm not exempt. Arise now.
Olha o bicho vindo, moleque.
Though this be our darkest hour, it may yet be your greatest moment.
Caramba, tá bonito, velho. Caraca.
Ficou legal, ficou legal.
Esse aí consegue.
É um remake com remaster, agora eu esqueci já. Eita!
Not even death can save you from me.
Caralho. Muito bom, vai ser pra PS5, ó.
After more than 20 years, the Dark Wanderer has returned. And once again, he travels east. Always east. Diablo 2 is a landmark game for Blizzard. Diablo 2 Resurrected is a full HD remaster of both the original game and the expansion, Lord of Destruction. It takes the 2D sprite-based classic that we love and brings it into the present.
O Diablo, como é o Diablo até agora, na tua opinião? 1, 2 ou 3?
Graphical rendering and lighting technologies.
2 é melhor.
It also includes modernizing all 27 minutes of cinematics, recreated shot for shot with the explicit intention of preserving both the look and the pacing of the original movies. Blizzard has a long history of games that we're proud of. And when we think about Diablo 2, we think about it as a definitive pillar in our foundation. Now, it's funny to think that some of you weren't even born when D2 was released, which makes it all the more important that we deliver an authentic experience wherever you play. We want everyone to relive their memories or experience the game for the very first time on their platform of choice. And so we're excited to bring Diablo 2 Resurrected to PC and console, along with cross-progression. And for those of you who are in love with the original, and you just wish it worked more seamlessly on modern computers, you can bring back all of that nostalgia exactly as you remember, and enjoy the game in its original 2D form, much like we did with StarCraft Remastered. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. Later today, Diablo speedrunner Mr. Llama will host a roundtable with members of the development team on the dedicated Diablo channel. If you are a Diablo 2 fan, I encourage you to take a look.
Que oportunidade massa pra Mr. Llama, velho. Eu gosto desse bicho aí.
So, from Diablo 2 Resurrected to Burning Crusade
Mr. Llama é o quê?
to the
É o diretor do rolê, é?
Não, Mr. Llama é o speedrunner de Diablo 2, pô.
And while we have teams dedicated
Eu sigo ele no
to
Twitch, eu
bringing
assisto as lives
these
dele de vez em
timeless
quando. Ele só joga Diablo 2.
experiences into your hands, it's actually a very small percentage of our developers working on these projects. Far more people are working on the future of Blizzard. And in addition to what we'll be talking about during the show, we can't wait to tell you even more about our plans over the course of this year and beyond. If you had
Mas data assim certinho eles não dão, né, velho?
would look like today, none of us could have predicted the current Blizzard lineup of games. The advances in technology are one thing, but it's really what those advances have enabled that's even more incredible. If you think about the people who play games and the communities that have grown up around them, the way people can connect instantly, no matter where they are in the world, the way people are increasingly able to express their identity and celebrate who they are through their favorite games, communities, and platforms. The explosion of things like streaming, cosplay, and esports. It would have been hard to imagine any of that 30 years ago. And at Blizzard, that is what excites us about the next 30 years. There is so much that we're working on. And some of it you already know about. The rest, we look forward to talking to you about it when the time is right. Just like the real world, the worlds of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and Hearthstone are diverse, expansive, and full of potential. We are not only iterating on the experiences that you've come to expect from us, we're also exploring different ways to express our worlds and welcome more players from more places into them. And we aspire to continue to lead on priorities like accessibility and toxicity control, and to continue supporting causes that have a positive impact on the real world. We want to continue to bring those same feelings of joy and achievement that we all felt when we first defeated the Lich King, or beat Diablo on hardcore mode. Because when we geek out on those experiences with others, we can't help but see the similarities and feel what's possible when we play together. Of course, there are new worlds that we haven't visited quite yet. And when we do finally unveil those games and experiences, our hope is that you will see in them what we do.
Nossa,
who you
velho.
are or where you're
Aí é
from.
bom.
They are spaces where you can create new stories, forge new friendships, and make memories worthy of lasting a lifetime. And through it all, our mission statement of being dedicated to creating the most epic entertainment experiences ever, along with our core values, led by gameplay first, will continue to
Tá papinho de terminar já, né, pelo jeito.
of everyone at Blizzard. Thank
É,
you
mas
for being
então.
on this journey. For me personally, it is the honor of my professional life to serve you, and the honor of all of us at Blizzard to be the caretakers of the worlds
Eu
that
sei,
you
mas
play.
tu tá parecendo papinho aqui de
So excited
goodbye
for what's to
e
come this
amanhã a
year,
gente continua.
next year, and the next 30 years. Now, what's coming next for the show? Well, it depends on where you watch. For those of you looking for an update on Overwatch, check out the behind-the-scenes look into the development
Vem, Jeff!
Overwatch
Vem
2
em mim,
over on
Jeff!
their dedicated channel right after the conclusion of opening ceremonies. There, you'll hear about Overwatch 2, new content, new features, including new
Parece que a
maps,
gente quer.
hero missions,
Aí tem que pôr do canal, é?
challenges, and more of what we think will make Overwatch 2
Não.
a unique gameplay experience. For World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Hearthstone, you'll get a closer look on their respective channels. And on the dedicated strategy channel, some StarCraft legends will be going head-to-head in epic competition. Once again, welcome to BlizzCon Line. Be good to one another. Welcome home. Before we kick things off, here's a little something from
Acho que ele vai
previous
ter que ir pro
BlizzCon
canal do
episodes.
Overwatch pra poder assistir.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Eita, cadê
We're
Metallica?
Metallica. Thanks for having us at BlizzCon 2014. We would love to be there this year, but obviously can't be. So here we are, and this is for
Vai
you.
ficar louco agora, hein?
Agora sim, velho. Que massa, velho. Vamos pra ouvir. Tá faltando um guitarrista. Olha aí. Chegou o outro, cara. Não. Próximo minuto. Massa, velho. Eu até não esperava, não.
Take a look to the sky just before you die. It's the last time you will. Rock and roll, magic roll in the crumbling sky. Try to go with the soul, with the ruthless cry. Dream you now of the lies, with this mystery.
Delícia. Já tá. Metallica é papai, é metal, pô.
O baixista deles é um estilo caralho, né, velho?
É.
Eita.
O nome desse baterista aí se chama Lars. É um coroa, mas ele é insano. Lars, é. Ele é coroa, mas ele é insano, velho, irmão. Ele tem um gás de estourar, velho. O show do Metallica dura 2 horas, pô. E só tocando em alto nível, velho. Gosto muito de Metallica, velho. Massa.
Regaça! Saca? Supremo, Supremo. Que massa, velho. Cadê? Deixa eu voltar. Agora tem que voltar aqui lá no site dos caras, é?
Não sei, velho. Foi o que eu entendi, velho.
BlizzCon Brasil. Deixa eu te mandar aqui o link no Discord, sim? Botei lá no geral de novo.
Não, eu já tô no link que tu mandou, mas aí agora tem que procurar o canal.
Do Overwatch aqui, ó.
Tá vendo isso aonde?
Não, pô, eu tô mandando um link diferente.
Ah, tá.
É, tá rolando a mesma coisa no canal do Overwatch, velho.
Canal do Overwatch. Será que tem a hora de passar?
Estratégia, que é isso que a gente tá falando de estratégia?
Your death will
Retransmissão, não é isso que eu quero. Estratégia. Tá tudo igual por enquanto, eu acho, velho. Vamos esperar pra ver. Aí, ó.
Essa animaçãozinha tá bem legalzinha.
Tu tá usando um chroma key, é? Porque a tua camisa tem uma parte da tua camisa que fica com as cores do... da tela, tá ligado? É verde, né? Ah, que massa, velho. Ficou legal.
Mesma coisa nesse canal aqui também, a mesma coisa. Vou deixar no canal do Overwatch já pra ficar preparado.
É, já deixei também. Vamos lá.
Vai jogar Diablo 2 remasterizado?
Não sei, velho. Tem que ver quando é que vai sair, né? E quanto é que é essa parada. Tem como jogar com o amiguinho?
Tem, pô. Eu acho que não vai ser full price não, velho. Tem como jogar com o amiguinho do antigo, pô, mas não é remasterizado, tá ligado?
Remasterizado, né? Peraí, eu vou pegar um MMs aqui.
Watch your...
Pode ter. Vou pegar aqui, velho.
Hey, look at me!
Oh, looks like we got an audience.
I'm getting good at this. I am in the groove.
Turret online.
Surprise! Piece of cake.
Cadê o Overwatch? Opa!
Welcome everybody to BlizzCon. We know that you all want to hear more about Overwatch 2. Allow us to invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing and why.
Everybody, please hit record. Fingers crossed. We lost Scott.
It's off to a good start.
This is going great.
We've been assembling one of the best teams that I have ever worked with.
I'm nervous.
And I'm so proud of the progress that we have made together.
We really liked the stylized drop down.
Imagine that it's coming forward, boom, boom, this starts to spin.
The scale and the scope of this game have meant that we've needed to grow substantially.
We have to... Sorry. Let me start.
Overall, I think we've done incredibly well as a team moving to work from home.
Oh, Shadowplay. There have definitely been challenges, but the team is really putting everything we've got behind this game.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes, major story beats.
with competitive and PvE. I see Overwatch 2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
You know, we're always inspired by what story and franchise development does with their animated shorts. We really wanted to bring that cinematic experience into the game.
Invest in your heroes and grow them over time. I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
I can't wait for people to play this game. It just gets better and better.
There are some things that we just can't do without a sequel. So thank you so much for your patience so far, and I hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at Overwatch 2. All of our players at home, they want to see one of the new maps that we've never talked about before.
Really? I can just talk about anything that I want to.
Yes.
You're serving this up to the guy that is like unintentionally leaked information in past interviews.
You can do it officially now.
Okay. So one of the maps that I'm most excited for in Overwatch 2 is our Rome map.
Hey, the Rome, velho.
We always want Overwatch to feel like this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that represents the empire that it used to be. So we brought some of that back, some of the things that are destroyed in real life. We kind of rebuilt in kind of an Overwatch style.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of environment art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away.
Can we reveal more maps?
Yes, Scott. Scott, why don't you have the honor? Why don't you reveal, like, is there an artified, like, let's pick an artified one.
I know what map I want to talk about. It's the one that I just get super excited about. New York City. New York City is just an amazing Overwatch location.
We're really striving to make it as authentic as possible while still putting this Overwatch spin on it.
There's a lot of amazing buildings and architecture pieces that just, especially for artists, stands out a lot. And they usually use this kind of Art Deco style from the 1920s, 1950s.
We started in an area that's a little bit like the Village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places, and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations. It feels like something you haven't seen in other games before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
Well, we should move on, otherwise we just have to reveal more maps. So. We were talking about PvP, and you know, one thing that I think is really interesting about PvP in Overwatch 2 is some of the philosophical changes we're making to the approach.
PvP feels different and new. We're upgrading our combat feel. The roles are playing differently. When it comes to all new maps, it's a pretty big departure from where we are on live right now. So I can't wait to see where we end up with it by the time we launch this thing.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map. And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that we've been exploring in Overwatch 2 PvP is a change to the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of Fire Strike, so he can throw Fire Strikes a lot more aggressively and more often. Also, his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can, not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively and, really go after those key targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice, all of your positioning and everything to get there. He's almost more terrifying now with this, to be able to unleash his full arsenal more often than kind of just being the guy with a shield.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not ship, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
Shortly after BlizzCon, we spun up this group, our Combat Feel group, to really just work on what happens when a player holds the trigger.
We're putting a ton of effort into looking at all of our characters and trying to give them even a more visceral weapon feel.
From sound to VFX to animation to the design of these units, all new sounds for a lot of our weapons in the game, and a whole new sound system that's driving it. And we didn't just level up a unit, we leveled up the rest of the game.
When we first started working on Overwatch, we spent quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything, nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of
One
of the bigger efforts we're undertaking for Overwatch 2 is what we're calling our Weapon 2.0 Sound Pass. What this is a big overhaul to the weapon systems in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands, you could feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really tried to amplify those sounds to better encapsulate the gameplay and the gunplay that comes with Overwatch 2. Another key for the weapons was getting them to feel like they're in the environment. This meant working with convolution reverb. It's a new system that we've implemented into Overwatch. It's a way that we can capture the acoustics of an environment and transport it onto the sounds that we're using. So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots. And then we've cut them and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tales, tight tunnels, small rooms, and it gives a lot more presence to the weapons and the way that they react in the world.
The shooter genre has evolved a lot since Overwatch 1 came out. On top of that, I think we really want to push the visceral nature of how we do combat. So we focused a lot, not just on the wonderful sound effects, but also with how the gun moves as you shoot. So you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera shakes are crisp, making sure that if you get shot, you know exactly these tight indicators show up on the outside of your reticle. All these things play into making the game feel not just tight and responsive, but also modern and up to date. Take 76, for example. What we wanted to do in Overwatch 2 with his weapon was make it really feel incredibly powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. But it really feels like the gun is almost just outside of your control. A lot of that comes down to this camera shake technology, where every time you fire the weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot out of the chamber. It makes him feel really great.
You guys got a sneak peek of Sojourn from last BlizzCon. She's been under development for quite a while, and she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created, there was a lot of heroes that were made from a gameplay standpoint kind of surrounding a weapon type. For example, Farah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper. We thought there was a weapon that was kind of missing that would be a lot of fun to play with, and that's a railgun. It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really powerful shot that can, rip through enemies if you really are accurate with it. And she's all about that aim skill. So if you got that aim skill, you'll love her.
We're still exploring new game modes, and we're also reevaluating older game modes that people are more critical of. We're of the mindset maybe 2CP doesn't exist in Overwatch 2, and maybe there's a new cool game mode that replaces it. We really want Overwatch 2 to feel like the next evolution, a true sequel to the first game, not an add-on. It's not a small part. It's not an extension of the original game. This is an evolution and a replacement to the original game, and I think it's exciting. Hero missions are probably one of the things that's the hardest to wrap your head around if you've never played one of them.
It is.
The goal around hero missions is for these to be this co-op PvE experience.
I personally only play competitive mode. Like, I'm all about that competition. And I have friends that they don't want to do that at all. So I'm really looking forward to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive, and it's also something that I'm interested in.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes, and so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot of missions. We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top.
And there's a lot of really, really good back-end technology that we're exploring so that the heroes are constantly bringing their personality and some light story to these hero missions as well.
The goal is to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. We've explored a lot of different ways of getting to that much content. So have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time, hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps.
It's a huge challenge for the art team. We take maps that a lot of people love and recognize, and we have to add a lot more art and level design to it.
In this one hero mission playtest, we came up to an area in Kings Row that usually has a gate on it. Suddenly that gate opened and I saw a new area of Kings Row that I had never seen before.
You may be playing a payload game type, and the payload may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool. It was like this eye-opening special moment.
Lan, our lead tech artist on the environment side, very early on her own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis map.
And at the time, we didn't know what we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, oh my god, we absolutely have to do this.
So we put some new technology in place that allows us to do this dynamically. You start the mission off, clear day, midway through the mission, suddenly this sandstorm or heavy weather would show up.
It made the world just feel so much more alive.
There's a sunset, daytime, nighttime, but depending on where you are in the world, these look different. California or Hollywood would have what we call a California sun. Nubani, there's a great African sun that happens there. You start to get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you start a mission, you look at a map. It's nighttime in Necropolis, or there's a sandstorm in Necropolis. Players can make some comp choices based on knowing this information. Characters like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable because they have abilities that allow them to see through the sand more clearly.
Are we going to talk about any of the types of objectives in hero missions?
Yeah, let's talk about the objectives. Players are being asked to do different things from one hero mission to the next so that they all feel really fresh to the player.
For example, we have Gather and Return, where you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population in a negative way. It creates this really cool tension in the world where, on the one hand, you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters to be as efficient as possible, but at the same time, now you're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself, it turns into a pretty bad situation really quickly, and it feels extremely cooperative and like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
We're experimenting with all sorts of ideas, and just internally we have things like Wall of Death, Scavenger Hunt, and Kill Quest, and all these new mechanics and enemies for people to experience. Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
At BlizzCon in 2019, we started to talk about progression, and we showed the very early version of our talent system, which I think was really cool. We had that became the rolling snowball, which was a big hit. We've really blown that system out.
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the skill tree, you can have fun every night doing different things and kind of experimenting.
Yeah, the talent system is like really deep and rich, and every single hero has different trees. You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change. We've had some pretty hilarious versions of the healing one where his biotic field travels with him. It also repulses enemies. We called it the snowplow build, where 76 is like running through spaces, pushing enemies away from them.
Designing these is super fun because it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and we get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things like dual-wield grenade launchers, and we've had Mercy be able to area effect res their whole team at once at super long range through walls. It's been a ton of fun, kind of like mad scientists making all this stuff.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons like Soldier 76's rifle or fire attack like what Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these things with talents, all of a sudden maybe you're doing freeze damage or electrical damage. But it gives the animators a bunch of crazy opportunities. You know, the animations are going to change to show them freezing and shattering. And if you shock someone with a lightning attack, they can shake in place and stun, maybe chain to other enemies. All sorts of stuff to make you feel like you're controlling the battlefield in novel ways.
As a huge RPG nerd myself, the first time I opened up the talent tree system, it was like, oh my gosh, this is speaking my love language. Like, I just want to plan.
Eu acho que o jogo não vai ser mais pesado não, se for vai ser pouca coisa.
Yes, it's so great. And you start at the bottom of the tree.
Pesado,
graficamente falando. Gets to do
vai ser.
And then you start working.
Vai ser basicamente o mesmo jogo, eu acho assim. Vai ser pouca coisa mais pesada, eu acho.
Fun.
Sim.
Vai ser mais bonito, tá ligado? Tá mais
when we look back at BlizzCon
então, mas acho que não será nada bizarro não, tá ligado?
We talk about some of the criticisms that we had.
Vai
One
inviabilizar
of them,
rodar
as a
no PC
development
aqui
team that we felt was that the combat was just not engaging enough. So the fact that our combat wasn't highly engaging to us as players meant that we had a problem with the enemy units and that they just weren't feeling interesting enough.
Just because we show something to the public, it doesn't mean that that is what it's going to be. If we make discoveries where things aren't working how we want, they're not reading how we want, they're not fun enough, we're totally down to reinvestigate, reiterate, and just really find ways to level kind of all aspects of things until they feel good.
I would say a major focus of all of 2020 was to make the null sector enemy units more engaging. And some of this was adding new units and evolving other units that we had.
Interesting combat for us is varied combat for us. So sometimes we're going to ask you to protect something in Overwatch 2. Sometimes we're just going to ask you to get someplace. Sometimes we might ask you to escort something across a map while it's being attacked. And so it's a different type of spawning, and it's a different type of units that are in there, and it's a simpler objective.
There's a lot of units Aaron is talking about. Lots of different units, lots of different types. They serve different purposes. You do different things to them. It's really going to help a lot of us find the fun and make sure that Overwatch 2 is a blast.
One of those sets of enemies is what we internally call objective units. And They're typically units that don't even attack players. The simplest version would be something like the Breacher.
It's two legs with this huge bomb on its back. It was built to do one thing: slowly and methodically march towards its objective, and then it transforms, and the bomb opens up like a flower. It starts spinning and charging up, and you hear this awesome sound, and you know you have a little bit of time before it's going to explode and you have to take it out.
We have units like the Slicers, which you guys have seen before. They're little, we call them the chickens, like little chicken sometimes. They run really fast. You know, we have a guy we're experimenting with right now who flies and drops these bombs that create these kind of ever-expanding smoke fields that you have to escape from, but because they're super deadly. So you really get to use your mobility options to kind of escape that.
There's things like the Polar. You could be moving through these darker alleys, and as soon as you hear that Polar spawn, it suddenly becomes like really spooky and kind of scary.
This very tall, elegant-looking character that's blindfolded, 3 orbs that circle around her as her eyes, and we basically spun those orbs around her head as a big tell, launched them at the player, and then it activates this tractor beam, and it's bringing you in, and then you get this awesome like anticipation of the hair opening up so you know what's about to happen.
One thing we've just recently been experimenting with is this idea of elite units. We didn't want the elite units to feel like they're just, oh, this guy's got double health and double damage. We want to make sure the elite units feel like they have different behaviors and have different attacks. So, for example, an Omnic Grunt, normally he fires his gun, he dies pretty simply. If you fight elite grunts, his weapon fires in a burst fire pattern. It's very deadly if you're close. And if you manage to take them out, they don't just die right away. They instead can crawl on the ground towards you, and you try to back away because if they get to you, they can explode.
Artillery at BlizzCon, we're all just staring at this, and we're like, what are we going to do to level this up?
One of the things we really felt wasn't coming through was the damage states. We intend for players to shoot these guns off, but currently it's not reading as something that can happen in the game easily.
We changed the design, we changed the animation, and we go back and forth and just continually iterate.
We decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna just delete half of these damage states, so now it's super readable.
From an animation standpoint, we decided on spinning barrel version. Just did this really nice kickback. The tip of the barrel opens up when it's about to fire and shifts into place and boom!
It's really amazing to be fighting an artillery unit and you can see the guns on the side, and as you're shooting the guns, they're actually visibly taking damage, and then you can blow them off and it reacts and kind of stumbles to the side and really makes you feel like you're there, and it's super fun.
In a lot of the stuff we've showed so far, you're fighting Null Sector. These are evil killing machines intent on marching you down. The way you're going to stop them is by shooting them. And we want to make sure that feels responsive and visceral. Really making sure that when they take a hit, it feels like their whole body has been punched, almost like hit by a truck. That's what really sells this fantasy that you're playing these superheroes. One of the cool pieces of technology that we created was what we call chain hit reactions. Oftentimes you'll find Null Sector bunched up, marching maybe a half a dozen units abreast. You expect if you shoot one, they're going to knock into their buddies. So we make that happen. Turns out it's really fun too.
It's legal.
One of the things that we showed last year at BlizzCon was the new looks for our heroes. The theory kind of going in was like, you want to preserve the essence of your hero, but also kind of show that heroes evolved and kind of changed and moved forward. So we have a lot more new looks. So I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today, which would be cool.
We're going to reveal McCree's new look for Overwatch 2 as well as Pharah. And we're really excited to show off some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about technical wear, kind of like technical clothing. What that really is using very techie fabrics, as well as having very intricate but functional straps designed in a way that it's very aesthetically pleasing. With McCree, we took a couple different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with, because if you try to make him too sophisticated or too techie, it might not feel right for the character. But as a concept artist, you always want to change things around and try different shapes and silhouettes. So we did identify as Red Serape as the main thing for McCree. We also tried a couple different things with McCree's cowboy hat. We didn't really want to mess with that too much, because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried some retro cowboy looks that mixed in some tech here and there. Some that were a little bit more techy than others, some that were a little bit more classic cowboy. We gave him a little bit of a longer beard, and it really gives him a nice kind of like a more aged look. What's different about Pharah than some of our other heroes is Pharah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on different colors. So it felt really appropriate for her to be the one to harken back to those original Overwatch colors of white and blue. One of the things that we wanted to update on Pharah was her visor. Instead of being completely opaque and reflective, we tried a little bit more of a transparent approach, and being able to see through it a little bit now allows us to see some more of her emotions. Reaper was actually the ones I was very excited to work on, because I could see a lot of potential in how we can integrate his cloak and his cowl and his armor, and how we can make all those shapes really sing within that classic, Reaper silhouette. We tried a couple takes with the first pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask is obviously pretty sacred to us, but the thing you'll notice immediately is that it's now completely silver. Instead of the bone white, he's got this like almost like deadly edgy silver that just gives him that classic Reaper look. With Widowmaker, we started with the idea stage, exploring a breadth of ideas. We tried things like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them made her feel like a classic Bond villain, so we kind of steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk looking ones, almost like a futuristic femme fatale, which is basically what Widowmaker is, but she even feels more upgraded. So I'm super glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail that's really a key part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on one of the designs that was more of a parade, and it was really interesting look that also preserves Widowmaker's original silhouette with that long ponytail.
We've been working a lot with our Domino engine and making our cloth look better. Now that we have this cloth tech, we're going to be able to make some really cool, unique silhouettes that will help them stand out from other heroes. We put a lot of time and effort into our face rig, and what I mean by that is we're going to be able to get really close to these characters, and it's going to feel really cool. It is absolutely worth the time and the effort to invest in the technology, and that way we can make these characters do more things that we haven't really been able to do before.
It's been super exciting working on the new looks for Overwatch 2, and it's just been so inspiring to watch the team try things that we've never tried before, and I just can't wait to show off more in the future.
Overwatch 2 is probably the largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players. In Zero Hour, we saw that some of the heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're going to learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening, how globally spread is it.
The story and franchise development group, they were really the torchbearers of what the big story is that we were going to tell for this game.
We have a lot of interaction with them. They're working on in-game cinematic intros and outros for every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration grow and develop. The story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get dialogue for a given mission. We have NPCs. We have multiple hero choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So how do you take that bright, shiny future and create conflict in it? How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale. So what we had to do was literally strip it down to this bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been disbanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and the world needs the heroes again, but they're not allowed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions of what the Overwatch 2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards that we were carting around everywhere.
The room was filled with whiteboards, and we would just write every day story beats with the characters and who was doing what and where. And oh my gosh, we forgot this character.
We had these giant sticky notes, and each one of them would be a mission with a bunch of notes on it. You know, somebody say, well, what if we moved Rio to the end? And they'd physically grab it off the wall and stick it on the end.
And we did this for a while, you know, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers' rooms. The writers' rooms then had a much clearer direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game, and then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant iteration, constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
From writing, we go to storyboards. The storyboards get crafted with the edit. From there, it'll go to a previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going right into the game engine.
One of our challenges was to figure out how to integrate this story and this narrative with the gameplay.
So if the intro cinematic ends with this huge battle, this huge war, when you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
We really are also trying to get the music to be equally as consistent from in-game cinematics straight through to the mission. Adam Burgess, our lead composer, has been working with the IGC team, with the game team, developing themes for all of the heroes, all of the locations.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience going from cinematic to gameplay is seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition. The Choreo tool is a tool that allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you don't see it. It allows story moments in missions that interact with the environment, that interact with our characters.
The new tech, the new abilities that we have now are allowing us to push our storytelling farther than we could have previously.
What's also really powerful about Choreo is that, you know, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We got to show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. And Casey was able to quickly put a really rough prototype in Choreo. And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play tested something that would normally take weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
Each story mission has its own custom map built for it. And these maps are absolutely gigantic.
India is one of our biggest maps, and it's a fun map because it has a few story beats that we've taken from recent comics and characters in the game.
We've written a history for each city so that the cities feel lived in. And I think that informs the artists so that they know like what it is that the city has been through.
Gothenburg was our chance to show Torbjorn's workshop. We created a space that kind of fits his height. So there's, you know, step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space as if we were Torbjorn. Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it. Toronto is under siege by Null Sector when the players arrive here. There's a dynamic snowstorm. So as you make your way through the level, the snow is slowly building up. Suddenly by the end, the characters are caught in this gigantic snowstorm and they must fight their way through.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
We have a cast of many characters, all on screen, all at the same time. And it's fantastic to actually see them all interacting and working together in ways that we've never actually seen. We've always thought about it and hoped for it, but now it's actually happening.
It actually requires us to have a whole new branching dialogue system. If you happen to have Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game, you might get different dialogue that's about their relationship.
Our voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the fans. It's just to hear this collection of actors all together, all interacting, has been a real treat.
Hammer down!
I wish people could see how many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch. It doesn't just come from a singular person. It comes from a group, and it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been developing what we hope is one of the best stories ever. There's some key story moments that I'm really excited about, and I really can't wait to see how people react to it.
We've been talking about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2 and have it be a really fun experience. And I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
We've made such incredible strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at BlizzCon in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we hand the game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become part of your life and for you to experience it.
For Overwatch 2, we're upping the bar.
It's kind of 5 games in one. It's a huge undertaking.
The new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer to the characters that you love, and we're just getting started.
The fidelity of the gameplay experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really looking forward to being able to expand the world of Overwatch for our players.
We're really trying to tell this epic story.
In order to make a game great, it takes time, energy, collaboration.
We have just an incredibly professional team of designers and artists and engineers.
We just love bringing this world to you guys. So many cool characters. It's just a blast working on it.
Our goal is for Overwatch 2 to be the worthy successor to the first game, to be the next evolution, and to be a true sequel.
We have big plans, so thank you for sticking with us.
We're gonna cross the finish line, and I know it's gonna be awesome.
I hope people just end up loving playing it over and over.
That's what we want.
Mudou a artezinha do life, né?
Let's go be heroes.
Pô, muito massa, velho. Só tá faltando uma data, hein? Só tá faltando uma data.
Quando vê, é disponível hoje. Eita, esse release.
Dolby is a proud partner of BlizzCon Live. Watch Shock vs. the World in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, only in the Dolby Access app. Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of BlizzCon Line.
Who's ready for some fireworks?
You'll like this one.
Greetings. Our fates are entwined.
Rally at my position. I feel unstoppable.
The best gets better.
Let me show you how it's done. Turning up the heat. I'm ready. Give me your best shot.
새해 복 많이 받으세요.
Qual é a skin que tá de graça? De graça não, no evento agora, vou pegar.
I've got you in my sights.
Now we're moving.
Essa daí, né?
There ain't mine, ain't it, I?
E a da Ashe?
Lights out. I've still got it.
Acaba semana que vem, né, velho? Ainda não peguei as skins que eu quero, velho.
Pra semana que vem.
Eu tô com 6.700, dá pra comprar 2 skins, tá ligado? Mas eu queria mais, velho, do que 2.
Tá legal.
Eu vou falar mais de Volt aí. Não, né?
Acho que tem mais 2 negócios.
Agora. Eu gosto dos atores do
Hello and welcome to BlizzConline. My name is Andrea Toyas. I'm the senior casting voice director at Blizzard. It's my great honor and privilege to be charged with finding all the great voices for your favorite games and bringing them to life in the studio. And today, I'm losing my mind with joy because I'm in shock that we get to do yet another voice actor panel, Voices of Overwatch, featuring our beloved characters from our most beloved game. I know it's crazy times, I know it's uncertain and scary and hard, but just know that we at Blizzard and all of our actors and people that we work with think of you and love you every day, and I know that you know that I mean that. So here we are now with Voices of Overwatch. And on top of that, I want to tell you something else because I feel like I have to talk about this. Look what can you see? I hope the camera gets what they've done. The books, the plants, the table, those are the exact chairs I wanted, the exact rug. There's ancient scrolls. There's a fireplace. They love you so much and believe in us and this voice actor panel so much they did this. So I just want to give mad gratitude and love to the BlizzCon events team because they did this. They gave us this space and they're giving us this time because they know that without you, those of you who care about the voice actor panels, none of us would be here. So I love you. Thank you for joining. I hope you have a great panel. We've got a great show ahead. And welcome to the Voices of Overwatch voice actor panel for BlizzConline. I mean, I wish you were all here right now because I can literally, I've got chills. To look around the room and see these people here, it just seems like a dream. This is not going to feel real till we go home tonight. It's not going to feel real. And you guys, usually I like to do my big surprise, who's behind door number 1, but unless they walk through the library, that wasn't going to work. So here's the grand reveal of all of our wonderful participants. So I think you know everybody on the stage, but let me go through introductions just to kind of get us all on the same page. So of course, we could not have an Overwatch panel without the mayor of BlizzCon himself, Lord Darren DePaul, also known as Reinhardt. There we go. You at home, you got to clap.
I don't have it. I would hit a cameraman if I threw candy. It's not happening.
I know.
Hi, I'm Darren.
Yay! That's right. I forgot to say you guys have to clap for us because usually you're right in front of me with your big smiling faces, but you're not here. So you got to promise me that you're clapping at home, please. And then, of course, we have to have our beloved dad. We have to have Soldier 76, also known as Fred Tatasciore. Yay!
Reporting for duty.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Oh my.
And really glad that you let me use my apartment. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. And then, of course, our beloved power female, totally kick-ass and wonderful in the game, our delicious diva, also known as Charlotte Chung. Yay! Oh my God, I love it. And then, if I had my way, I'd have the whole cast on this stage. It's so, every year I want you to know, having to work with the Overwatch team and choose is so difficult. But we just had to get the ones we love them all, but this is who we ended up with. And we've got our fabulous, I don't really think you guys have heard of Matt Mercer before. He's new to the nerd world. So I want to introduce you to Matt Mercer for the first time, also known as McCree.
Woo! Happy to be here in Soldier Dad's apartment.
Love it. And then we also really wanted to bring somebody new in to share our love with you and to share our love of her. So I'm so excited, so honored and privileged to introduce you to Jeannie Bollet, who plays Echo. So Jeannie,
welcome.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Yes. And I know you can't see our fans, but everybody, this is BlizzCon. These are our fans. Let's just pretend they're out there and say, we love you, we love you, we love you, we love you. Yes. And then, as you know, I always love to have somebody from the team, so I'm really honored and delighted to bring somebody to you from the Overwatch team, the creative director, Jeff Chamberlain. So this is Jeff Chamberlain. Jeff, everybody. Yes. And Jeff, you and I never talked about this, but I'm so excited. I never tell you this. I need to tell you I love you more, Jeff. But because Jeff and I have worked together for so long, I remember you and I in early StarCraft 2 sessions together. I mean, we go way back. We're OGs together. So it's always really cool to work with Jeff and have him join us. So thanks, Jeff.
My pleasure. It's always fun to.
Eu tô com dúvida se Jeff queria estar aí, velho. É a carinha dele.
Figure these characters out.
Yeah. And Jeff would love to be here, but like all of us, he's got to stay extra safe for his family. Otherwise, he'd be sitting on my lap right now, right, Jeff? I think we'd be cuddling probably, or I'd be, one of those. So I'm really. There's so much I want to talk about. I wish we had all day. We don't. So I just want to. My goal, as I said earlier in the monologue, is to have you in my living room. So the first thing I want to talk about is how's everybody doing? It's been a tough year. It's been crazy, and I just want to ask everybody, we can go in rotation or talk together.
Demais, brother.
I had a tough year, I'm doing great now. Anytime I get to do this, how's everybody? How are you doing? Tell me about how you've been since we last saw you.
I'm fine.
I feel like you're always fine. I can't.
Well, you got to stay
sad?
joyful. I mean, this has been a time of distance, and yet we still find our connections where we can, whether it's online or just passing someone on the street and waving from a distance. It's sharing our hearts. And that's what I love about what we've created here. Yeah. And every year we come back to it and add more people that we adore and say, welcome, it's nothing but joy. Oh. Welcome to our little world of yes.
I love that. So Darren, how have you been getting by? Like, do you get, I'm sure you get sad, but how do you just joy and gratitude and
yeah, we moved to a new house.
Congratulations!
It's like our first adult house ever. But we have an office and we record, and very, very lucky. Knock on everything. Work keeps going, and that keeps you going. A lot of our friends in the Broadway community have not been working. We lost someone from a show a long time ago yesterday. So we've been losing a lot of our people, and I think you go back to what brings you comfort, and it's spending Zoom calls with those people. It's listening to Leon Redbone and David Byrne and Buster Poindexter and going back to what I did in college when I had no friends. But it's that reaching for things. Did I play Diablo 3 a lot in the beginning? Yeah.
Yes.
Because that world was the world I liked to run around in and visit little shopkeepers that would go, I will survive if you buy something. And I never buy anything. So there's a little guilt there.
I love it.
But you know me, I'm just a big mouth stupid.
I love it. And I got to give a shout out. Look at Darren. Even in a pandemic, he's dressed just impeccably.
Always.
And we found out they make
It's Photoshop.
It's Photoshop. Actually, he's in his pajamas. We found out there's onesies that are suit onesies, you said?
Pajamas.
We need to get a Kickstarter and buy him a whole wardrobe of suit onesies. Yes.
Yay!
You'll look amazing. It's going to be a BlizzCon Overwatch sleepover next time.
Yeah.
Yes.
You always have a bow tie on. Why did you pick the tie?
I changed it up.
Oh.
I had some bow ties earlier, and then I did ties and liked them. My sister has a store, and I call her. She has a high-end men's store, and I'll call her and I'll say, hey, I want this, and I order it, and that's my way of helping her out because business has been rough, and I'm like, give me this.
Is this in New York? Or?
No, she moved to San Antonio, Texas, and she's been in Texas for a long time. My parents had moved. Those are sad stories that we do not want to get into about stuff. But it's still having that connection. Just my father was a clothing designer.
That's right.
And the Reinhardt voice is kind of him. And
that's right.
So he would like it. He'd go, you look good.
Is that right?
You look amazing.
Yes,
You
but bow ties are good on you as well.
It's so hard not to just bite your face and hug you. I just want to bite you so bad.
Many people say that.
Yes, it's true. Well, how's everybody else? How's everybody doing?
Doing all right. Hanging in.
Yeah. We're very, very lucky to be able to keep doing this.
Yes.
I've got a toddler. I've been quarantined with a toddler.
Zemo.
He's amazing. Yeah, my little guy, and he's in. And my wife and I have been having actually a really good time. I mean, it's a handful, but it's been so great to just be able to get out of the recording booth and then just play with him, as opposed to 2 hours of traffic. Not complaining about traffic, just saying it's really a blessing. I mean, I hate what's happening to the world, with the virus and, economic thing and just everything that's happened. But it's been a real blessing to be at home, actually, because I've been out of my car for so long. And so this has been really nice. I like being at home, growing food, and just. It's been a real blessing, and like you, getting into all the stuff that was a passion for me early on. Any kind of music or films.
What's your favorite? What are you listening
to? Well, I love the David Byrne stuff that you're talking about. But yeah, but there's
American Utopia.
Yeah, all of that.
So good.
But there's just so many things. So it's been a blessing.
I miss seeing you at the gym.
I know. I miss seeing. We both lived downtown, and we would catch each other at the Y. It was very, very cool.
Wow, Soldier 76 and Reinhardt working out.
Yeah, we're actually working out at the Y.
I want to go there whenever this
We did. I used to live around the corner from Charlotte.
Yeah.
So there's always this little world of.
And I would see him walking down the street to the gym.
Wow. 3 Overwatch characters all living
in this
close.
one little area. I know, it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Tell me what the interaction was like between Soldier 76 and Reinhardt at the gym.
Hey, how are you?
I'm going to pump you up. That was a line another German said.
I'll let you to it. I'm going to hit the pool. All right.
Don't hit it too hard. That was a joke.
No, I get it. Very good.
I hope that exact scene happened.
Pretty much.
Before they threw us.
Oh my gosh. Well, to Fred's point, I think kids keep you really grounded. I don't have kids, I got pets, which are like my kids.
Beautiful
but kids
pets.
keep you centered though, right?
Yeah, so do pets.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they do. Actually, they do, and it's and you'll be
Yes.
hearing from this one here. Yeah, it's amazing to try to just have the time to dial in to his thinking and to what he's playing, and and seeing this personality and this body just forming right in front of your eyes. It's just astounding. It really is. It's one of the best things, and most challenging too.
Yes.
But it's a happy challenge.
Yes. And I think it reminds us that nothing else matters, I would imagine, with your child. And talking about forming humans, Charlotte's formed some humans. Tell us,
Need a
Charlotte.
baby diva.
Yes. Tell us.
So,
yeah, it's been a wild ride, and going through all of that through the pandemic has been an interesting kind of situation, but a really blessed one, because like Fred said, we have been able to spend a lot of time with our kids. But this is sort of a full circle moment for me, because 5 years ago at the very first Overwatch panel for BlizzCon, I was here with these lovely gentlemen, and it was, you're telling us to be real.
Absolutely,
so I'm
Mama.
sharing something that I kind of shared on social media, but I had lost a baby 2 weeks before BlizzCon. It was my first pregnancy, and then you look back and you go, at the time things don't make sense, but it does in hindsight. And when I look back and knowing that then I had gotten, sort of rushed into this world of Overwatch and the fans and BlizzCon, and how much has changed my life since then, it all sort of makes sense, the timing of life and whatnot. But I came in with a lot of sadness, at that BlizzCon.
Até pouco tempo atrás, tipo, 30 e pouco já era coroa, tá ligado?
That really just changed my life and in so many ways.
Isso é
I
o
got sat next to
selvagem quer se proteger pra não dizer que tu tá ficando velho, pô.
And he was actually my favorite, he voices my favorite character in Call of Duty, and so I was starstruck. And yes, and Fred and Matt were going back and forth. Like, you guys probably don't remember this, but I was in back of you watching it in line, and you guys were doing voices and stuff, and I was shaking like a leaf, because it was such a, it's a nerve-wracking, intense moment. There were 2,000 people in the room that day. Since then, I think I was on a panel with Matt in Atlanta with like 5,000 people, and then of course you went to the UK and did one for like 100,000 people. So you're on a different, level.
You showed none of those nerves. I can tell you that.
You did so great.
But I learned so much, especially sitting next to Fred and seeing just his love for our fans and whatnot. And so then, from coming from the loss, and then 5 years later, I made a baby last year. His name is Guy. And I made a baby this year. Her name is Gal.
Guy and Gal?
Guy and Gal.
Wow.
So good.
Boy and girl.
That's
we kept
amazing.
it simple. But yeah, it's definitely just a really
ela não tem muita criatividade não, né?
Back with all of you and welcome to Jeannie as well.
Gostaria de fazer menino.
Yeah, it's been it's so wonderful to be back.
We made it through. I'm so happy to see you, which I want to talk about. How you guys were on the original panel, so I want to get into how your lives have changed, and that's such a beautiful story. Before we go there, Jeannie and Matt and Jeff, I mean, how you guys been doing in this last year? You've been holding steady, good days, bad days, everything in between days?
Everything and more, and sometimes less.
Yeah.
Obviously, I came into the Overwatch world just as the pandemic hit. I remember
we had a session right before.
We had a session, and there was a TV in the kitchen at LA Studios, and we could see these cruise liners being docked, you know, and watching it, just going, what's going on? This is absolutely crazy. Not knowing that the whole city, the whole country was going to shut down. And so it kind of felt not anticlimactic. It just, I didn't know what to expect. So it almost gave me this extra space, you know, to sit into what it actually be and to brace myself for that communication and that connection with the fans, which has really been quite lovely.
Mas tipo, ela é magra e alta, mas tipo, daqui uns 5, 6 anos ela vai diminuir pela metade.
In my own world, I'm definitely a bit of a hermit. I write a lot, that's my other thing.
Tá, não, que vai ficando pequeno, não.
So I wasn't sure what was going to come knocking at my door or slide into my DMs, and
ela deve ter 1,70 e pouco.
Nothing but joy, as you were saying before. And just
não, ela é mais alta do que isso. Olha as pernas dela como é comprida.
How loving, how sharing. The whole community has been. It's like, wow, we're all just human beings trying to get through it and find some joy, find some connection. So there are days when I can feel really down, and even though I'm used to spending time on my own, there are days when I'm like, God, I miss everybody. I really just want to, I want to communicate, I want to connect, I want to take those deep dives. And sure enough, there'll be a message. And it's someone who I don't know just saying, hey, this is what's happening with me today. Oh, you'll never guess what. This is happening. I'm feeling like this. And at first, I'm not a professional psychiatrist or therapist or any of those things, but to have someone share information during a time when we all really need to share. I was quite scared of giving out information. That was like, but realizing it's okay to share a little bit of yourself, like we're doing now more than now, right? Yeah, now more than ever. But there will be days like there are when it's a bit heavy. And then there are days when, I pull my dogs in and I give them a cuddle and I crack open the karaoke mic and I put on YouTube. And all of a sudden I'm like, babe, I'm going to sing badly, okay? And he's like, and I hear his door close. Sounds like we're going to do that soon. I think we need to do that.
I think we need to do that. Yeah.
I hear his door close as well. And then I just bust out some tunes and, music, it really heals. Video games. I am not a gamer, and I think I've said this a lot in social media, but my husband plays a lot of different games, and at Overwatch, I've watched him play, and just storytelling in whatever format. Films, I'm a big film buff. I absolutely love that long, medium format. Animation, my husband's an animator, creative director. So any kind of storytelling to connect us to being human and humanity, that's getting me through right now.
I think you're right. That word connection, I think, is more important than ever. Like I was saying earlier to these guys, and I said it on the WoW panel, I'll never take a hug for any kind of connection, any text, message, anything is so important now. I think it's been hard days, but it slowed us down to remind us what's important. So Matt, how are you doing? I mean, I know you don't really have much to do. You're probably sitting around all the time doing nothing.
Yeah.
Not much in your world that's exciting.
No, I'm hanging in. I feel very lucky that I can still be so busy in this time, but to me it also means it's an opportunity to try and get other people busy as well. It's to a sense connection, a huge part of connection is community.
Consegue diversificar,
and we all have to rely on each other, especially in times of crisis like this. So it's, helping out with mutual aid funds, GoFundMes that you see on social media. With me and my friends that have our company Critical Role, we finally launched our Critical Role Foundation charity. are just trying to do what we can to get other people hired and find work and business for other people. And so it's just, it really brings a lot of things into perspective about when you have the opportunity, when you have the platform to use it to lift others up with you, because who knows when you'll need their help to pick you up as well. And that's kind of been a really big, even further clarifying theme in these moments. So that's been very fulfilling, as much as it's been also very tiring. But whereas we don't have any children, we did get a dog.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What kind?
He's a corgi.
Oh, gorgeous.
Pembroke Welsh corgi.
That's Blizzard approved.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. I don't think we didn't immediately bring up our molten corgis and WoW and pretend. But we wanted to get a dog for a long time, and we're just out of the house so often that if we're going to get a dog, we need to spend those first few months that are so important to bond and help raise them properly. And we only really got that with this pandemic, and we were like, well, if this is the time that we're going to be at home to do this, let's do it. So his name's Omar, and he's been a huge anchor in our life through a lot of our anxieties and all the challenges. But moments like this, being able to be in this panel with you wonderful people, to invite you into our crazy, ridiculous family, is very, very much cherishing these moments and appreciative for when they do come. So.
Yes. And for me, my animals, I've got 3 black cats and a dog, and it's like those are my frontline workers, are my animals, because they anchor me. So Jeff, how are you? I mean, Jeff, Blizzard, I feel like all of my friends at Blizzard are working so hard, and Jeff, it's impossible because your schedule's so full. I think you're working harder now. Jeff, how are you doing? I mean, work and life, how are you? I don't ask you that enough.
I mean, obviously, it's a balance between being aware and respectful of everything that's going on in the world, but then also finding the silver lining. So on the Overwatch team, we're all on Zoom all day long and meeting up and just cranking through the game and making it as good as we can. The one thing that I actually have enjoyed during all of this is I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and in between meetings I can go in and get a hug or a high five from them. That's awesome. I feel closer to them now than I ever have. Not that I love them more or anything like that, but just that I get to spend more time with them than I did when I was in the office all day. So that's really nice. And also it's the same thing with my wife. And then the other thing I think that's really nice, and some people also mentioned this, is that now everybody's on, some sort of format of communication through their computers. I actually spend more time with my siblings who are all over the country. And just the other day, my son, who's 6, played a board game with my brother, who's much older than 6. So it was just fun to watch. It's fun. And, I reconnected with 2 of my childhood friends who I really don't get an opportunity to talk to that much anymore. But, we get online and talk to each other much more than we ever have before. So I just see it as like a really horrible thing that's going on, but it's forced us to find another way to, enjoy each other. And in some ways, it's actually opened up new avenues to reconnect with people that, we may have lost that opportunity in the past.
Amen to all of that. So I mean, it's just amazing. And so I'm going to ask you quickly, Jeff, and I'm going to talk about what we've been through since we're on you. Overwatch 2 done. I mean, how is it? We were talking in the WoW panel that when we're at Blizzard, we could all jam together, be in the room together, have ideas, get a coffee. We can't do that now. So what's it been like to try to bring Overwatch 2 to life when you're remote and you don't have those same connective tissues that we had when we were on campus? How's that going? And tell us every single secret about Overwatch 2 while you're doing it. Let's do both of those.
That could take the whole panel.
Let's do it.
It's interesting that you pick up on that. I think when we first started doing this, it was a lot more challenging for us because we often would get into it, what we would call a writer's room or a jam session or something like that, and there's just a creative energy in the room, and it's like okay to interrupt people with an idea because I really love your idea and I think we should do this, that sort of thing. And as soon as you get online, that's not quite as possible because an interruption online, the audio doesn't really it isn't quite as natural, if you know what I mean. But I think we struggled with it initially, but then ultimately, I think we all got used to the format and we found ways to continue to have this sort of jam sessions. And I'm in them almost all day, every day, and we're just constantly trying to figure out new things and refine things and figure out new story beats and all that stuff. So I think we've adapted. I guess that's the best way.
So how's Overwatch 2 looking? Best thing ever? No secrets. Damn it. Come on, just one secret, Jeff. One secret. Nothing. Doesn't love us. That's fine. Well, I'm so happy, and it's really great. The creativity still goes on. It was hard for me at first, but you know, it's something to focus on during hard times. But what I want to talk about, the main gist of this panel was, so the reason, obviously Jeannie's new, which is why she's here, but I looked at the panel from 2016 and was like, let's bring the original players back, because I don't think at 2016 any of us really logged in what was going to happen with Overwatch and how our lives were going to change. I mean, I'll never forget one quote I always talk about. And how our lives were going to change. I mean, I'll never forget one quote I always talk about. Fred, I'm going to quote you. Fred said, you know, Fred does lots of cons, and his wife turned to him and with a Soldier 76 success, said to him, when did you turn into one of the Beatles? Like, so I want to open table this, and then Gina will come to you because I want to talk all about what it's like to come into this family.
It's a strange
but
thing.
You are all like ridiculously loved and famous and cherished and beloved. What's it been like? Tell me, since that panel in 2016, now you're rock stars. We have to, for those of you who have not been to BlizzCon, when Darren was in the Hilton bar one night, we had to form a human shield. We had to form a human shield because we were getting mauled.
We had to tank for the tank.
Yeah, a tank for the tank. So,
You were my shield.
yeah. So for anybody, so did you, questions, what was it like? Did you think, tell me what it's been like.
You did. Kind of. Because I told you, that was my first ever cast panel. Ever. And being there at BlizzCon, and I'd gone the year before just to attend when it was announced. And I'm like, this is amazing. And to be announced. And we were all waiting and meeting everybody and being so excited. And I was the second. And Cara Theobald was first. And I had my candy. And I was standing there and I was really nervous and I was kind of tearing up and I was seeing everybody cheer. And I went, the minute you step out there, everything changes. Because I'm like, this is a big thing. We love this so much. We're hoping that they did. But it did. It's this incredible journey that we've gone through. And every year that we return to these characters and kind of don these vocal clothes, again, I keep saying it's joy, and I'm overwhelmed by that. But it became this force for good. And I don't think that's what we expected.
That's right.
That it was this positivity and that we could always be joyful whenever we met, you know, people, or doing a Make-A-Wish. I've done 4 Make-A-Wishes. I think we all have done them. And that these characters mean so much to children. And it all started there from, you know, the time when I was like, I'm going to throw candy. My wife said, that's a bad idea.
I love
like
that.
And now? Let's just bring candy. It'll be a thing. And it's just always been joyful. So, yeah, I guess in a way I kind of went, everything did change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That day.
I don't think anybody's expected it to be a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we a lot of us have worked in games to an extent, and they can vary on how well they're accepted or people engage with it. But this had such a global impact. And here we are 5 years later, and it still has such an impact, and we're gearing up for the sequel. And along with that joy, it's also a unique responsibility. To the point that where the community is looking to us in hard times to be a beacon of light. We're a reminder of joy and a reminder of strength and heroism in a time where that seems to not always be present in a lot of other forms of the media and the world around us. And yeah, it's a video game, it's a work of fiction, but what work of fictions have always done is remind us what we want to achieve, how we want to make things better. It's that inspiration that keeps us thinking about how we can better ourselves and our situation in the world around us. And it's, I don't know, I'm very thankful to be a part of this with these wonderful people. And the fact that we can still, all this time later, be inviting amazing new people into this group, this family, to bring their own joy and light to it, and just be so excited for each other and for everyone else in this community to engage with it. It's joyful. Yeah. Once again, you hit it on the nail.
You hit it on the
I just need you to say that Overwatch is a million times more important than Critical Role. Can you just say that? I'm just wondering if we can get that on tape.
I am legally unable to speak about this.
But I know you think it.
Very different engines.
We can call it Joyful Watch.
Joyful
Watch. That's the DLC.
I mean, you and I know what you love the most, so we'll just leave it there. It's fine.
I can tell you, Overwatch, much more polished.
Okay.
We're a bunch of slapdicks just messing around on the internet.
Well, it's still amazing. But I think you hit a good point. Like we always say at Overwatch, it's our vision for a better future, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's really great.
It's what we could be.
What we could be.
Yeah, and like you're saying, it's a force for good, and that how inclusive it is, and how everyone has their own character traits and their abilities and their strengths, and what might be regarded as a weakness is actually a strength. it's pretty astounding. And the fact that it's hit worldwide is crazy, that I could go to the UK or go anywhere and, you know, Dubai or whatever, and somebody is saying, yes, I really connected to this character for these reasons.
Yeah.
And it started, again, as a character that was near and dear to my heart, but I had no idea it would take on this, like you say, a phenomenon. I kind of got a sense when we announced it at BlizzCon that it was such a big deal that time. I was like, this is really intense.
Eu acho que eu vou terminar a live por aqui, gente, beleza? Isso aqui vai durar mais uns 50 minutos e tal, e não tem muito o que comentar por aqui, né? Só assistir esse rolê aqui. Nem legenda em português tem, né? Infelizmente. Enfim. Obrigado aí por assistir e até a próxima. Tchau, tchau.